Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. Welcome back to another Gran Turismo 7 video where we take every single car out to the Nurburgring Nordschleife and see how well they can do. For today's episode, which is episode number 2, we're going to use the Volkswagen Golf GTI Mark 7, and there is only one good reason why I decided to use this car as the next one, and it's because the performance points of this car is extremely close to that of the first car that we used, which is the Pontiac GTO, the Judge. Now, the Pontiac GTO is at 464.59 performance points, and it produces 364 horsepower, weighing at around 3,549 pounds. But the Volkswagen Golf is at 464.61 performance points, but it has 216 horsepower and weighs around 500 pounds less than the Judge. Now, there are some advantages that the Golf has. For example, it's on comfort soft tires, it weighs 500 pounds less than the Judge, and best of all, it has a much better transmission setup. Whereas the Judge had a really short transmission setup, this car has a much better one. It might be a little too tall, but it'll be able to go a bit faster than the Judge. How fast? Well, let's go ahead and find that out. Alright, so here we are in the Volkswagen Golf GTI Mark 7, exiting the final corner on third gear, getting ready to start the new lap. I'm going to go ahead and brake just as the pit wall on the right ends. I'm going to stay on third gear and get on the throttle almost right away just as soon as I hit the apex. Now, for the upcoming right hand turn right here, can it be taken flat out? And the answer is no. You gotta do a quick lift off our throttle and take advantage of the entire width of the track. Gonna go ahead and start to brake, do quite a bit of trail braking down into third gear, quickly get back on the throttle, just a little bit of lifting off our throttle to try to avoid too much understeer. Gonna be really careful getting on the brakes, even taking a bit of advantage of the curbs, as this car can actually deal with the curbs pretty well, which is a bit surprising to me. And quickly get back on the throttle up into fourth gear. The gear shifting on this car is a bit quicker than that of the Judge, and this car feels more responsive than I expected. It actually feels pretty nice to drive around some of these corners. And gonna go ahead and get ready to brake just a little bit for the Flugplatz, quickly getting back on the throttle. You can't say that about the Judge, and exit the Flugplatz at around 110 miles per hour. And here comes the massive advantage of the GTI, where you're going to go ahead and just keep going faster and faster compared to the Judge, as the Judge, I think it tops out around 132 miles per hour, but here almost hitting 140 miles per hour. And going to try to brake before the curb on the left ends, down to third gear, overshoot this corner by a bit, just try to bring back in for a later apex, quickly getting back on the throttle. And again, this car, you can be pretty aggressive getting back on the throttle for a lot of these turns and not get too much consequences out of that. I'm gonna go 135, 138 miles per hour, not quite 140 miles per hour just yet, but still going much faster than that of the Judge. Gonna go ahead and brake, stay on third gear, just be nice and careful getting back on the throttle, especially if you try not to get too much understeer, which means that the car will just refuse to turn. Up into fourth gear, shifting when the shift bar on the bottom of the screen fills up. Gonna get ready to brake in just a moment, and it's gonna be around 50% braking power for a short moment. Car rotates pretty nicely through there, but here I am making a bit of an idiot of myself by overshooting the next braking zone, where I should have braked just a little bit earlier where the riding on the ground was. Brake using the side on the left, down into third gear, go for a bit of a light apex, quickly get back on the throttle, go up into fourth gear in just a moment. There we go. And I will need to do a little lifting off our throttle, just try not to get too aggressive with the curves, brake for the hit miss curves, and the name definitely lives up. Gonna go ahead and go almost a bit wide onto the grass, brake and stay on third gear. Just try to slow the car down and try not to understeer out of the hairpin. And there we go, nice and easy, not too difficult there. Bring myself towards the right side of the track, but here I'm going to go ahead and just brake late once again. Going down into third gear, completely missed the apex because I'm just having major skill issues. Brake before the curb on the left end, stay on third gear, nice and easy. Actually, don't be nice and easy getting back on the throttle. You can be pretty aggressive getting back on the throttle. and the car was able to respond pretty nicely. I know the judge had a bit of a moment with this kink right here, but the Golf, no issue at all. Brake nice and early as we enter the Kessel Chin, and again, being a bit aggressive on the throttle, just get the car pointing where you want to go and then just quickly get back on the throttle. And here we are up into 4th gear, but we are going uphill, so I'm gonna go ahead and stay on 4th gear. If I shift up to 5th gear later on, I'm actually gonna be losing a little bit of speed, so you're better off just staying on 4th gear, just rev it out all the way. And here we go. So we are going uphill here, so it's actually a bit more worth it to stay on 4th gear. Do not shift up into 5th gear. And here comes one of the more difficult corners, the Bravery corner, where it's a high-speed corner. Just quick dab on the brakes and just trying to maintain the momentum. Car bounces around just a little bit, and luckily there is no fuss there. Easy flat out for this right turn in the Golf. Gonna go ahead and brake before the curb on the left starts, and actually overshoot this by a bit, so you want to brake just a little bit earlier than where I started to brake. Stay on 3rd gear. You do not use 1st nor 2nd gears, so you only use 3rd, 4th, and 5th gears. Use the happy little tree on the left as the next braking point down to 3rd gear. Being a bit careful with the throttle input, as you don't want to understeer out of the carousel. And there we go, so nice and easy, not too much of a fuss there. I believe the judge had to lift off the throttle for this left kink right here, but with the Golf, no issue at all. Use the curb on the right as the next braking point, just be a bit easy on the brakes. But here I get really aggressive with the curves, and the car bounces around quite a bit, but the car surprisingly doesn't try to throw me into the wall. I know I've already had a couple of moments with this car, and the car's like, nope, no issue, just carry on. So yeah, this car is actually pretty forgiving to drive, so if you're trying to learn how to drive some of the cars in this game, definitely give this one a try. As I've been pretty aggressive, and the car is, it's not trying to fight back with me, although you do get a bit understeer every now and then. And here I get a beautiful slide into this turn, get some really nice rotation out of the Golf, and just gonna go down to 3rd gear, up into 4th gear, but I do have to go back into 3rd gear and just try to be a bit careful getting back on the throttle so I don't understeer off of the track. But again, the Golf just handles it like a champ, not getting too much understeer, and gonna go ahead and stay on 3rd gear as we go up the hill. Now going down the hill, go up into 4th gear, get ready to brake before the jump just up ahead. Gonna brake right about now, full braking power for a short while. Stay on 4th gear, just be really careful getting back on the throttle, as this is one of those sections where the car can get a bit understeering, so you do have to be a little careful through there. Again, just going flat out through there, that was a bit of an aggressive move there. And even going through this section, I think at the judge I had to lift off my throttle, but the Golf just, it just takes it like a champ. Now hard on the brakes, down into 4th gear and go towards the right side of the track. And here I believe I made a mistake where I could have gotten away with 3rd gear, but I stay on 4th gear, brake for the mini carousel, down into 3rd gear, nice and aggressive getting back on the throttle. Again, the Golf is almost drama free, so yeah, this car is pretty forgiving to drive. Brake just a little bit before the curb on the left end, and then got to do just a little bit of lifting off the throttle so I don't understeer off of the track. And here I'm getting a little too aggressive, almost going wide, and gonna go ahead and take a nice little breather as we get to see how fast the Golf GTI can actually go. And luckily we are getting a bit of wind assistance as we are getting a bit of a tailwind. So already up into 136 miles per hour and still going up. So yeah, the GTO is already in shambles if you haven't figured it out by now. Up into 138 miles per hour. Will the Golf hit 140 miles per hour? And as we start to go down the hill, the answer is going to be yes. Up into 140 miles per hour, 142, 143. Will we hit 145? And just barely, for a very quick moment, hit 145 miles per hour. Brake right as a curb on the right and down to 3rd gear and just make it to the apex. Now I just got to be really careful getting back on the throttle. Brake for this final corner and get a nice clean exit out of the final corner. And with this, the Golf was able to dethrone the judge by almost 10 seconds. Actually, yeah, about 10 seconds. getting an 8 minutes 15.488. So for the time being, the Volkswagen Golf GTI Mark 7 is the fastest car around the Nurburgring. And now the question is, which car am I going to test next? And that's actually a good question. I'm not too sure yet, but if there's a car that you'd like to convince me to test, do let me know in the comments down below. But for now, I would like it to just be road cars. I will eventually get to VGTs, concept cars, and race cars, but I want to save that for a little bit further down the line, as I want to give the road cars a chance to shine. But if you like this video, please do hit the like and the subscribe button down below, and that is all for me. So take care, everyone. This is Mr. MCA, and I'll see you in the next video.